Alright, in the previous class we studied the different phases of embryonic development, right? Now, firstly we will focus upon spermatogenesis. So when we talk about spermatogenesis, what is it? It is just a gametogenic process in which formation of male gamete or sperm or spermatozoa occurs in the gonads, right? Gonads is a structure in which sperm formation occurs, and in males that gonad is known as testes. So when we define spermatogenesis, so we say it is a process, or we can say it is a gametogenic process, right? Gamete formation process in which male gametes are formed in the testes, right? And now we say that if male gametes are produced, then they undergo meiosis process. That's why they are haploid in nature, right? So, second thing which comes to our mind is gonads, and gonad is testes here, right? So, we say testes. So, what is testes? It is just a gonad structure in which male gametes are formed, or we can say it is a part of the male reproductive system, right? So, firstly, where they are located? They are just located below the abdomen portion, right? And in some organisms they are located just right nearby abdomen regions, right? Or in humans below the abdomen region. That is, we can say extra abdominal portion. Their location is extra abdomen. Why they are located or why they are descended down is, there is a reason behind that, right? So, because at low temperature, male gametes can be produced very easily and their formation process does not hinders there, right? So that's why they are descended down, and they are called as scrotum or scrotal sacs. Okay, they are present there. Their covering is known as scrotum or scrotal sacs, and they are descended down. Now, secondly, we are saying that they are located extra-abdominal, but what is the structure? Right? Structure is the main basis. So, how the testes structure looks like is what we are going to see here. So, whenever we talk about the structure of testes, we are talking about the TS, right? Transverse section of testes. Alright. Somewhat, this type of structure is visible to us. And this is what we call as testes. Alright. So, when we make the diagram, we see some different things here. this type of structures are visible, right? So we observe these structures here. This is the TS of testes we found. Now we can mark these structures. So firstly we will talk about the outer covering of the testes. So the outer covering is known as outer peritoneum, and just below this peritoneum layer lies tunica albuginea. Right, there are two layers. First is outer peritoneum layer surrounding the testes, and just below this outer peritoneum lies the tunica albuginea layer. Then we can say that in the testes region there are several tubules-like structure present there, which are known as seminal vesicles. Right? They are known as seminal vesicles. And in these seminal vesicle structures, two different type of structures are present. Right? So when we say seminal vesicles, then these seminal vesicles are surrounded by a layer called as tunica propria. Right? And under this tunica propria layer lies germinal epithelium. Right? And from this germinal epithelium layer only, what are formed? Our germ cells or our male gametes are formed. Right? So we are much clear that outer layer is peritoneum, just below this tunica albuginea, about testes, and when we are talking about seminal vesicles, so these are seminal vesicle structures, and it is an outer covering called as tunica propria, and under this lies germinal epithelium, which contains germ cells, we can say. So these contains germ cells. Alright, so we will mark here, this is seminal vesicle. In this seminal vesicle, Sertoli cells are present, right? And when we talk about these structures, so they are spermatogonia, right? Then they are primary spermatocyte, then they are secondary spermatocyte, then there are spermatid, and there are present spermatozoa. So in this way, structures are present. And when we say in between the seminal vesicles, there lies interstitial cells. Right? There lies interstitial cells. So these interstitial cells contain some cells. Yeah, we can say cells are also called as Leydig cells. Right? And this whole portion is known as interstitium. Alright? This is interstitium portion which contains interstitial cells or Leydig cells, and in this interstitium there are blood capillaries, blood vessels, plus nervous tissues, plus connective tissues. All these are present in this interstitium part. And the cells containing the cells which are present in them is called as Leydig cell. Right? We are very much clear in this thing? Alright. So we are talking about seminal vesicles, and seminal vesicle structures has Sertoli cells, right? They also has germ cells. So germ cells will form, we can say germ cells will form male gametes or sperms. And what about Sertoli cells? Because the mature male gametes or mature sperms embedded their head in these Sertoli cells. So we can say they provide nutrition to them. Right? Their whole work is to provide nutrition. That's why their head is embedded inside them. Mature sperms take nutrition from this part. Alright? And we have Leydig cells as well. So Leydig cells function is to secrete hormone which is called as testosterone. Right? So two functions we have. First, Sertoli cells is for nutrition and Leydig cells is for secretion of hormone called as testosterone. So this is clear by diagram that how different things are present here. One important thing what we see here is also under consideration, we can say. So here we see that androgens and testosterones are secreted. Right? So this, what the male hormones actually do is, their function is, their work is to control accessory reproductive organs or to help in the formation of accessory reproductive organs. Their second function is to produce secondary characters or secondary sexual characters, the changes which occur after adolescence or at the start of adolescence age. Right? So they control these two functions as well. So their control is under which thing? Their control is under, we can say, ICSH or LH. Right? What is ICH? Interstitial cell stimulating hormone. Alright? And what is LH? Luteinizing hormone. So both these hormones combine together to help or to secrete androgens and testosterone in the males. So both these are combined together. And who, we can say what is responsible behind their secretion is the anterior pituitary gland, which we called as master gland, right? So anterior pituitary part is responsible for their secretion. Secondly, firstly we talk about this. Secondly, we will talk about the formation of the male gamete. Right? So male gamete formation is also under the control of the hormone, and that hormone is called as FSH, which we call as follicle stimulating hormone. Alright, and this is also secreted or regulated by anterior pituitary part. Alright, so we can say these hormones regulate the activity of spermatogenesis. Alright, now as a result of spermatogenesis, what is formed? Male gamete or sperm is formed. So we will focus upon the structure of male gamete, or we can say sperm. So talk about the structure of sperm or male gamete. Firstly, we can dot the diagram and then we will discuss, right? Somewhat this type of structure is present there. we can mark the regions. That is, this is acrosome part. Alright, this is nucleus part. This is, we can say, proximal centriole part. This is, we can say, here, distal centriole part. These are mitochondria. This is ring centriole, right? So these parts are present. When we collectively call this region, so this region is called as head region. When we collectively call this region, it is called as middle piece region. And sometimes this region is called as neck region. And we collectively call this region as the tail region. So this is particular diagram. So we divide it into three parts. First part is the head region. When we say that head region is the smallest part, and we can say it is 1/12 size of the whole male gamete or of the whole sperm, we can say. Right? Now, when we talk about head region, it comprises of two regions. That is, number one, we say about acrosome part, and number two, we say about nucleus part. Right? When we talk about the acrosome part, what is acrosome? Acrosome is actually the top structure or the topmost region of the sperm, which contains sperm license. Right? Which contains sperm license, or we can say different enzymes. These enzymes are only responsible for what? These enzymes are responsible for the egg development, right? Or we can say for the embryo formation, help in the fertilization process. So there is much role of acrosome region. So we can say it is just a cap-like structure present just above at the top of the male gamete, containing lysins or enzymes responsible for fertilization process. So their role is, or they help in fertilization, right? Because when this part breaks, it releases hormones or enzymes, right? Now, when we talk about the enzymes, what enzymes it contains, so we will say acrosomin, acrosin, hyaluronidase, acid hydrolase, and acid phosphatase. So these 5 type of enzymes are present in the acrosome part, okay, which have different functions. Acrosomin, acrosin, hyaluronidase, acid hydrolase, acid phosphatase. Secondly, when we talk about acrosome, so we talk about that how it is formed. So it is formed by the Golgi apparatus, or we can say Golgi bodies. Okay, they help in the formation of acrosome region. Alright. Now secondly, when we talk about the nucleus part, so nucleus part is the part just present below the acrosome part, and in this nucleus part, chromosomes are present, and chromosomes from which side? Paternal side. So we can say paternal chromosomes are present, which goes on from one generation to next generation. father chromosomes for father side are present here, and they are haploid, right? Because they have undergone meiosis process. Secondly, these chromosomes contains the characters of the paternal genes, or we can say father genes. So, nucleus is present just below this region. Secondly, when we talk about nucleus region, below the nucleus region, a region is present, a depression region we can say it, right? There is a depression, that means neck portion is present, so a depressive region is present which is called as the perforatium region. In this depression region or depression part, centriole is present, right? And which centriole is present here is the proximal centriole. Proximal means upper part or just nearby part. When we talk about distal, it is apart, or we can say by distance it is present. So proximal part is nearby part, nearby centriole just present below the nucleus in the depression portion called as perforate. So we can say proximal centriole is present here. Now when we talk about this, that we also talk about this, that what is the role of proximal centriole, right? There are three types of centriole present. Every centriole has its specific role there. So when we talk about proximal centriole, its role is that when fertilization process occurs, it enters eggs, it enters the ova or egg and activates cleavage there, right? So it helps in the cleavage or development of the egg to the embryo. So we are very much clear in our minds that head region is present, right? It is comprised of two regions, acrosome and nucleus. Acrosome contains enzymes. These Golgi bodies help in the formation of acrosomes and it helps in fertilization process. Second, nucleus, chromosomes from paternal sides are present, haploid, number of chromosomes, and just below the nucleus, proximal centriole is present. Now, when we talk about the second part, that is the, we can say, first part was head, second is middle piece, and third is tail. So now, middle piece part. Firstly, middle piece part is the part present just below the head region and above the tail region. At the start, at just the start of the middle piece, we have one centriole structure called as distal centriole, right? Which is present at some distance. That's why it is called as distal centriole. So, what is the function of distal centriole? It helps in the formation of axial filament, or we can say from this region axial filament starts forming, right? We are saying this is the axial filament region which is extended till the tail region, tail part, right? So this is formed and this is the axis of the gamete, right? And here only basal granules are also formed. So this is very much clear. Second thing which we notice in the middle region part is the mitochondria. In mammals, the mitochondria are arranged spirally or helical motion, right? So we talk about here mitochondria, right? When we we talk about mammals, mitochondria are spirally arranged here, right? In a helical region, they come together to this region and arranged helically. But in other animals, mitochondria is arranged as lobes, right? It is arranged as lobes, and this structure of mitochondria is called as Nebenker, right? This structure is called as Nebenker. Thirdly, when we talk about the region that is man-shaped, right? So this region is just present around the middle piece, and what is man-shaped now? Thin layer of cytoplasm, right? So these two things are much more important. What is Nebenker and what is man-shaped? So Nebenker is a structure of mitochondria. It present in other animals, right, other than mammals, and in this mitochondria are arranged as lobes, right, or in lobes-like structure. So this structure is known as Nebenker structure. And what is man-shaped? That means the middle portion or the middle part of the male gamete contains a thin layer of the cytoplasm around it or around the Nebenker arrangement, and this is known as man-shaped. So we are very much clear that what these two structures are here and what they do. Some part of the man-shaped is present here also near the neck region and near the lower part of the head region, but mainly this man-shaped region is present in the middle piece portion. So we are clear? It contains axial filament, basal granules and distal centriole. Secondly, we can say it contains mitochondria arrangement, and mitochondria helps in providing energy, ATP, so that sperms of male gametes can swim easily or can move easily, because we can say they are the most active, so they are active due to presence of ATP or mitochondria. Alright, mitochondria produces ATP. Now one more structure is present just at the last of the middle piece region, which is called as ring centriole. Right? Now, ring centriole has no as such function, but we say that it marks the boundary between the middle piece and the tail. So we can say it differentiates middle piece region and tail region. So it has a differentiation. Where the ring centriole will be present, we can say it is the end portion of the middle piece. So it is arranged like this. Now we will talk about the last part, that is the tail region. Right, and last part is tail region. Right, tail region contains axial filament plus axial sheath. Right, it contains axial sheath around it. But this axial sheath is absent in humans. Right, humans does not contain this sheath. Otherwise, most of the organisms have this sheath. Secondly, the arrangement of the tail axial filament is 9 plus 2, just like the cilia or flagella like arrangement, right? That means 9 peripheral centrioles and 2 central centrioles. So, in that way, 9 plus 2 arrangement is seen in these tail axial filaments as well, just like we can say cilia or flagella. So structure is just like that. Then we say it has we can say ring centrioles are present which marks the start of the tail region, and it has ring-like structures present on the whole tail region. We see this, these ring-like structures are present on the whole tail region. So, tail region is like this. So, we can see it is helpful for locomotion, or we can say movement, right? It helps in locomotion. This tail region helps in active swimming or active movement of the male gamete. So in this way, this is divided into three parts and they have their specific structures present there, right? Now, what we say is the whole sperm or the whole male gamete is covered with a membrane called as plasma lemma. That means plasma lemma is the surrounding layer, right? And whole sperm or whole male gamete is covered by this layer. Okay, secondly, we see that the sperm structure is very much species specific, right? That means every species has different structure of male gamete or different structure of the acrosome region. So here we can see some examples where how the sperm structures are present. We can say that they are species specific, right? Just by diagrams. So when we talk about the sea urchin, so this is the structure of the sea urchin, sperm or male gamete. Second, when we talk about Amphioxus, this is the structure of the Amphioxus, male gamete, right? Just flower-like structure. When we talk about toad fin, then this type of structure is present there, right? And lastly, when we talk about Nasa, so its structure is somewhat different. So this is structure of Nasa. So these we can say or we can see they are very much species specific. Every organism has a different structure and different structure specifies how they are species specific, right? Now when we see the acrosome structure, so we have even different acrosome structures as well for different organisms. This structure or this region is also species specific in many of the organisms. So when we talk about the reptiles and amphibians, we see a very different structure present there. Right? This is structure present in reptiles and amphibians. This is acrosome part. Then when we talk about birds, birds have also different structures present there. that this whole region is acrosome region and this is the nucleus. This is also nucleus here, right? So the structure is very much different as observed. Right, so this is acrosome part and this is structure of rabbit. So in this way we can see different structures, they are very much species specific, and even the different structures of acrosome part as well. Acrosome is also arranged differently in different organisms. So like this we can say there is a lot of diversity present there.